Previously, we discussed reading, and at the end, in the third stage, I talked about bringing things together while reading to come to new understanding. Well, we're going to start a new series, which I'm enthusiastic about helping your child remain curious. Children are born curious, and a lot of times in the process of growing up and exposing to other people, other students, their curiosity is squashed because they don't like to fail. The story is told of a boy who was asked to draw anything he wanted, and he drew a horse, put wings on it, and colored it green. He was so proud of that, and when he showed the teacher was very happy. But one of his classmates said, that's nothing but the mobile horse. He just colored it green and not red. He felt defeated. He never thought of the mobile horse. And even if he did, he had fun of doing that. But the quickest kill for curiosity is criticism. And to build curiosity, we're going to look over the next few weeks at multiple ways that you can encourage your child to become curious. One of the premises is that life is composed of problems, and one of the unique features of people is that they solve those problems. Well, how do you solve problems? Well, first of all, I'm not going to use the word problem. I'm going to use the word friction. Friction is something that's present all the time. It slows things down, but we can't do without it. I remember in one of my physics classes, 11th grade physics class, we thought it would be so neat if we could do away with physics. We could simplify all these equations. A car engine could run without friction, and so all the energy put into the car engine would come out as motion. But then we realized that without friction, we couldn't walk. You have to be able to push against the surface. If you've ever stepped onto black ice, you realize there's a frictionless surface and it's hard to move. So we're going to start using the word friction in all these. And what I mean by friction is problems that need to be solved, but not necessarily eliminated as bad things. I've collected this morning's newspaper, and the shell of it that it came out of is to solve one problem. How do you keep it dry? Because no one likes a wet newspaper. But the friction I'm going to create is making this newspaper wet. Now I'm going to get into problems with someone in the household if I can't dry this out. It's not my fault it's wet. Well, all right, yes, it's my fault. But how often have you had a wet newspaper? It's no fun to read. So here's some friction. It's not impossible, but how can I get rid of the friction? How can I solve the problem? Well, what I use is play. I'm going to make it harder in that one way of solving it is taking the newspaper and just opening it up and letting it dry. But the problem is it takes so long that way. So how can I do it a little faster? Well, I separate the sheets of paper and I string them all over the backs of chairs in my room. My wife comes. She says, no, I've got to sit in those chairs. And I say, well, I'll pick them up. And then there's another piece of friction. What order were they in? So I'm going to make a new game in solving friction. I'm going to put a limit on it. I'm going to solve this paper, dry this paper very fast on this tabletop, not string it all over the room. How do I do that? I'm not sure. But it's a good problem to solve, because if I do it, I've done something kind of creative. So let's think about this. Why does a newspaper dry? Okay, well, it dries because the water here comes off of the newspaper right here on the surface. So the first page is going to dry fast, but it's going to leave the second page a little wet. And the bottom page is not even going to have a chance because it's against the newspaper. Same thing. It's against the table. Same thing on this end. That's why I spread it over the room is to have everything exposed. But how do I do it on this table? Let's think about that. Well, let's see if I can increase the surface area of the paper that's drying. That is, I have this out, and maybe I loop it like this, and it'll dry faster. Well, if it's good for this sheet, maybe I can do it here. Where do I put that sheet? Whoa. I'm taking advantage of the stiffness of the rest of the paper, and this little fold here actually, and I'm making like little arches. See how down here it's going to be drying, and down here it's going to be drying. Ooh, how I'm constructing little tunnels, and it's going to dry faster on each of these tunnels. Well, what's my limit? Well, do I have a problem here? Yeah, I'm getting so that I can't do it. There's another little problem. Every time I solve a problem or lower the friction, I create a little bit more friction. But this I think I can do. Look, I'm drying all this paper here. And I keep holding this and let this air go here. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to get a little homework. What I want you to do is go around, and as you see things happen, think to yourself, oh, is that a problem? Is that a little bit of friction? Can you encourage your kids to look around and try to see things that are unexpected or that they don't like and solve the problem? Ooh, we'll make this tunnel here kind of go underneath this piece here. Maybe to bring this back over here, make sure these tunnels are pretty well formed, and it's going to dry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 times faster than if I just let it go on the table as a pile of wet old newspaper. We're drying it a little faster. I'm going to start my watch and see how long this takes. I may report it. The next series of videos is how to increase our curiosity by solving. First, this is what we want out of our students, is when they see a challenge, they go in with an attitude, hey, I can solve that. Join me at STEM Sherpa for other videos in this line. Thank you.